The Denver Broncos and every other team in the NFL have the next 3 weeks to choose a player that they might want to use the franchise tag on. In this video, I'm going to break down what is the franchise tag, who the Broncos might use it on, and so much more. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. Helps me out if you would like and subscribe. Back in the studio, so great to be with you, riding all the way through the NFL draft, all the way through our drought-busting season next year when we burst through and make the NFL playoffs. I'm very confident about that. Got tons of content coming up on why y'all should have confidence about it as well. So the NFL offseason really kicks off tomorrow, February 20th. Teams can choose a player on their team who they want to give the franchise tag to. What this prevents one of the best players on your team from hitting NFL free agency. If you're worried about another team bidding for a guy that you like, it locks them up now so that you can negotiate with your other free agents. It locks them up now so that you have some time to negotiate with them. In the past, we've used this NFL franchise tag on amazing players like Von Miller, Demaryius Thomas, Ryan Clady. We've used this tag on a lot of great players, and what typically ends up happening is that you sign them before the season starts, and then it's not just a one-year guarantee. It goes on and on. So let's look at who are the front runners for getting this franchise tag this year, and then I'll weigh in on my opinion on it. So again, this opens tomorrow, and then you have until March 5th to give that franchise tag. If you have not franchise tagged a player by then, that is when true NFL free agency opens, and anyone else in the league can offer your player a deal. And so looking here, we've got a lot of players who it could potentially happen to. We got Wil Lutz, Lloyd Cushenberry, Josie Jewell, and then you look at all these guys. We got PJ Locke, love PJ Locke, K'Waun Williams, Troutman, Purcell, Fleming, Burton, Fabian Moreau, Jonathan Harris, and Justin Stranad. So all of these are upcoming free agents. And so it's very tempting to look at that list and say, well, obviously Josie Jewell is our best player on that list. We should give him the franchise tag. But the way the franchise tag works is that you have to pay that player for 1 year the average of the top 5 dudes at that position, or 120% of what they're making now, whichever number is bigger. So if we were to pay Josie Jewell like a top 5 linebacker, we would be paying out the wazoo. We also know right now the Denver Broncos are about $20 million over the salary cap, and a franchise tag is 100% hit on this year's cap. And so franchising tagging someone who you're going to give a huge number to just makes us even more over the cap. One of the huge advantages we have right now in Broncos country is we have the richest owner in sports, and one of the advantages that you have then is that you can front load a signing bonus, which then spreads that over the length of the contract. So it's one of our advantages that we have. And so putting a franchise tag on a player like Josie Jewell, I do not think that is a potential. The other ones on this list, according to the DNVR, love those dudes over there. They do a great job. They think it's also extremely unlikely. The next player on there who we're looking at potential franchise tag would be Lloyd Cushenberry. We remember we've paid him a ton of money. The franchise tag would be $20 million. So that's a lot of money. And the reason that one is so high is that it's they don't average the top 5 centers in the league. They average the top 5 offensive linemen in the league. So you're kind of penalized. You don't typically pay a center as much as you pay a left tackle, but for the franchise tag, they're looped into that, and that would be just way, way, way too much money to pay to Lloyd Cushenberry. The other interesting thing is that if you watch the end of the year press conference with George Payton and Sean Payton, they are very, very high on Alex Forsyth. And when I was doing research into him, when we picked him in the 7th round last year, I was super high on him. You can't really find a cooler dude. He was a 4-star recruit out of Oregon. His dad actually passed away and was killed in a mass shooting when he was in middle school. And so he plays for his dad. He started a nonprofit to help victims of gun violence. It just seems like an awesome guy. And if you look at his pre-draft scouting report, a lot of people were really high on him, and some even mocked him as high as the 4th round. And you watch his interview immediately after the first thing when he got to Denver, and he basically said, yeah, I got a huge chip on my shoulder because I think I'm better than a lot of the centers who got drafted before me. So could we let Lloyd Cushenberry walk? We're not about to pay $20 million on a center when we're over the cap by $23 million. And hearing George Payton in that end-of-season press conference say, hey, we think Alex Forsyth is a starter in the league. So that would be great to see. One of the pieces of news that dropped when I was on a family vacation was the NFL.com went through and ranked all of the draft classes for each of the NFL teams. And our draft class last year was number 32 out of 32 teams in the league. Basically you had Marvin Mims show out and looked great, but even still, he made the Pro Bowl at a position that he only plays a little bit. Like we didn't draft him to be a punt returner. We wanted him to be a receiver. So you look at that draft class was struggling. So I would love to see that we found a starting center in the 7th round. I think we all should root for that. Although if we let Cushenberry walk and Forsyth can't start and isn't a long-term starter in the league, that could be a very, very bad thing. So then looking at the other options for who the Denver Broncos might use the franchise tag on, DNVR thought that the most likely person that we would use this on would be Wil Lutz. We know he's the kicker that Sean Payton let Brandon McManus walk right away when he got here. A lot of, he got a lot of grief for that. But Wil Lutz, other than that game against the Raiders, he really looked pretty fantastic this year. And Sean Payton is a very, very loyal coach, and he has always had Lutz's back. The other nice part about this is that, making more than making the top 5, average of the top 5, kickers just don't make that much money in the league, and so that doesn't hurt our cap quite as bad. The player in free agency, Josie Jewell, I would love to keep him because of the chemistry that he has, but we got Griffith, and I really am high on some backups that we had, another draft pick that we picked out of Arkansas last year who I think could step into that role and play in Drew Sanders. So I hope that we have the fill-in if Josie Jewell, if we cannot afford to pay him. Definitely, I don't think we can afford to franchise tag him. But the player I really don't want to see leave is PJ Locke. I did a video on how the Denver Broncos have the kind of guy that everyone wants in PJ Locke. That story about him taking an RV out to Detroit before the Detroit Lions game because he had such an injury to his neck that they didn't clear him to fly, but he could play a football game. So he took a 20-hour road trip in an RV to go play a football game and then a 20-hour road trip back. He's just the kind of character guy that you want back there. And with all of the rumors about Justin Simmons maybe being on the way out the door because of cost-cutting measures, I really would love to see the Denver Broncos use that franchise tag on PJ Locke, or ideally lock him down. That's funny. To a long-term deal so that we don't even have to get there. But love to hear what all y'all think about this. Is there a player on the Broncos right now that you hope we use a franchise tag on? Also be very interesting to keep our eyes open around the league because the franchise tag window opens tomorrow for everyone. We got guys like Danielle Hunter, who we might want here, guys like Josh Allen out of the Jaguars, who we want around here. So ideally, the franchise tag does not go to Danielle Hunter in the Vikings or Josh Allen from the Jaguars. So we will keep you up to date on all of that. Thanks for riding with me from my family vacation in crazy airports with announcements coming over, but it has been an absolute blast covering this team, and we got a lot of blue skies up ahead. Broncos country, giddy up.